Hi, my name is Hewitt Jr. I am a comic artist, illustrator, and I'm about to do a story for DIY, which is a magazine anthology, kind of like heavy metal. I decided I want to show you guys the process of creating a comic. A lot of people don't know what it takes to make a comic, and for these pages for DIY, I decided to show you guys the process. So I heard the story of the Pied Piper. Basically, the way the story goes is this guy hires the Pied Piper to get rid of all the rats. This town has a big rat infestation. The Pied Piper takes on the role. He leads all the rats out with his music, and he basically gets rid of all the rats. He goes back for payment. The guy decides not to pay him, so he plays the musical instrument and leads the children of the town. The original story led them to a cliff and they ran them off the cliff and they died. But in the fairy tales, he leads them off a mystical, magical heaven, and they disappear and they never see him again. Well, I decided to take that and flip it. What if the Pied Piper was an assassin? What if the Pied Piper used his mystical, magical powers of playing musical instruments to as a mark, as a mercenary, assassin for hire, and what's all the cool adventures he can go on. So the first step is, after you come with a little concept, is to flesh it out and go do some research. Well, I did some research, and I want to make the Pied Piper African American. Well, the Pied Piper story took place in the 1600s. So I went back and did my research, and there's actually an influx of African American people in the 1600s, and to my pleasure, to my excitement, not only did they have an influx, but also the first African Americans in, well, I want to have this take place in London, well, England, were musicians, trumpeters to be specific, that worked for the king. I'm like, wow, how perfect a setup is that? Who would suspect the musician of the king to be an assassin for hire? And if he has tons of money, he wouldn't be, suspicious because he works for the king. I'm sure he gets paid something. So, musician, works for the king. He's an assassin. That's the first part. So I have the main character. A lot of sub characters would be the king himself. I have to look and see who was the king at the time. That's where research comes in. But I gotta see how they dress. I gotta research that. Dress is important. The instruments that'll be used at this time. So there's a lot of different angles at this point I can go from here, but I have the main character. I have some people around him that I can create a story. This first story will probably be, an introduction. It'll be something small because it's an anthology, but I'll go back to some research and I will come back with the next part, which would be plot idea. You want to have a beginning and an end, so I'll come up with a beginning and then I'll come up with an end and work on the in-between, and that'll probably be the next part, the plot of the story. So when DIY comes on, this do-it-yourself anthology comes on Kickstarter, please go check it out. I'm gonna have a link in the bottom so you can go directly to the site once it's up, once it's live, and I will post a new YouTube ever so often detailing the progress of the story.